Oh, what's up?
Hey.
How's it going?
Good, good. I think we're getting a lot better with this microphone.
Yeah, we're almost like pro stars.
Yeah, it helps when you have good cables.
Yeah.
Oh,
So long time no see.
yeah, it's been a minute
Yeah.
with Christmas and with New Year's and um yeah, I mean, it's been a minute.
Yeah. How did you do anything exciting for New Year's
Um, well,
or Christmas?
yes, okay, this is gonna sound a little hokey, but like, I am a very cheesy person, as you know. Uh, so I like traditions and I like finding traditions to do with the kids and with Rob. Um, so obviously during COVID we weren't able to do anything. We weren't able to go anywhere. So the tradition that we started, we now order Chinese food in every
What?
year. Yeah, Chinese
Yes.
food and have
Love
a
that.
good smorgasbord of Chinese food. Um, and we get dressed up and we have a fake little countdown for the kids. So
Okay.
we get an episode on YouTube and we do a fake countdown.
Do they
And
know it's fake or do you pretend it's real?
we pretend it's real. They have no idea that it's not real. They think it's
Okay.
actually but and
Yeah.
it's kind of real because uh knowing me, my days off, like I am asleep, you know. Last night I was asleep before the kids. I went to sleep at 7 o'clock and
Okay.
I was,
It's New Year's somewhere. That the time you do it anyways, right?
yeah, well, yeah, after I'm done my night shifts, then I pretty much I fall asleep very early and do my 12 hours of rest and then I'm good to go for it again.
Wow.
So yeah, last night I went to bed at 7, got up at 7 a.m. and I am good. I'm as you yawn.
Your story just like that just made me tired for you.
Right? Well, no, it should make you rejuvenated because
Yeah,
I got
like
12
yeah.
hours of interrupted rest. So that's great.
That's actually awesome that you got that much rest.
Yeah, so the kids don't know that it's a fake countdown. We make it as our real countdown because neither me or Rob will stay up until the actual countdown.
Okay.
Yeah, and then after we're done the countdown, then we have cupcakes and we have candles and we I know we have the candles and we before we blow out the candles on each of our cupcakes, we make our New Year's wish. We don't tell each other what our New Year's wish is. We blow out the
Okay.
cupcake and then we enjoy a nice little dessert. So,
Sweet. I like that idea.
yeah,
I know a lot of people who do the like the Chinese food on New
okay.
Year's.
Yeah,
But I
I know a
like
lot of
your
people do it for
Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know Christmas too. But really like your idea about that, like the candle and like making making your wish. That's
yeah.
awesome. And that's sort of like our New Year's resolution. Like I like to share mine, but
Hmm.
I like I like the wish idea because it then can be like something potentially silly, like
Hmm.
silly might not be the right word, but extravagant, I guess might be a better word.
Well, you know me, and like I have a lot of like random ideas. Actually, so I have a lot of ideas, and I always bounce them off Rob. Rob always like thinks he's like in an episode of like Dragon's Den or like
Okay.
Shark Tank, because all my like crazy ideas, I always be like, idea time. I usually go and like find them, and I'm like, so I pitch him. I always pitch him my idea.
Nice.
And he'll tell me, nah, it's a little bit weird. Or he'd be like, oh, I could see it being this way. And then like he'll give me like pointers and stuff for it.
Nice.
So yeah.
Dragon Rob, well done.
Yeah. Yeah. He probably thinks he's a billionaire sometimes because
Yeah.
he's always like, yeah, you're naying me all the time.
I love that's cool. I like that you bounce ideas off of him. That's having a good partner that you can bounce ideas off of. That's very beneficial.
Oh yeah, he's very used to it. I'm sure at first he was probably thought it was insane, but now it's just part of our
Yeah.
relationship.
It's like, honey, what's your idea tonight? Before we go to bed, tell me.
Yeah. Well.
Well, actually, there's this one. Okay. Can we go to bed now? Yep.
Yep, yeah, pretty much.
Uh,
As long as I don't wake up in in like the middle of the night, I think that that would probably be like putting an end to it,
yeah.
like 2
I
a.m. I get an idea and like yeah,
I
I
can
would,
I can understand not wanting the 2 a.m. idea. Like especially if
yeah.
he was sleeping. Like
Well,
if he
that's
was
where
up,
like
it's one thing, but to wake someone up at 2 a.m. to be like, unless it's actually a killer idea.
that's where it's hard with me working nights, like I'll have a break time and I feel bad like that's where like responding to people's texts or responding to like their messages at all like I can read them at night but I don't want to like respond them to them at night because I'm afraid that I'm going to be waking them up and then a lot of the time then you know uh, they'll see that I read it at night and like not responded and like then I'm sleeping in the morning so like not responding to people like in the morning and stuff so like I'm people that are like get used to it but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when people at like first like you know it's a little bit of a difficulty like them realizing that I'm not um you know not ignoring them or something so
So I don't like so most people I know do put their phones into like a do not disturb mode or a quiet
yeah.
mode when they're sleeping. So I don't know if you need to like if you read the message at 2 a.m., like I feel that you I think it's very courteous of you, but if you read it at 2 a.m., you're allowed to respond to it at 2 a.m.
Well, but I know that a lot of people don't put it into like a do not disturb mode because like a lot of people have like
Kids and stuff.
kids that are away or like elderly parents
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like somebody that needs to like be able to
Yeah, no,
answer
yeah,
something.
now that you like yeah. But again, like yeah. That no, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah,
You're,
well,
you're just being too very nice, and that's unfortunately coming back to hurt you.
well, at least like people either like get used to it or at least this episode is a good idea like if anybody watches it to let them know, hey, I'm not being um a dweeb
Yeah.
and not getting back to you.
Being
I'm
respectful.
I am trying to be respectful and sometimes um if I don't answer a message, it might just be like, I got busy with like getting to work or something, or I just
Or
forgot.
maybe
And
kids came up and you got a life and you forgot sometimes forget stuff too. It's okay.
yeah, yeah,
I
life
think
gets
some people
busy.
get so upset, like don't get me wrong, like when like there's certain platforms that I can see someone has read a message and I'm like, why haven't you responded? But then I'm like, yo, just because they read it doesn't mean they had time to respond. Or like sometimes you're in the middle
Hmm.
of things and like a message pops up on your screen and you accidentally hit it and it's like I think I also need to like again, I get like mad. I'm not actually mad when someone does it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh wait, you read it, and then it's like, wait a second, no, like they have a life too. I have a life. Like some days I don't respond right away. Like that's okay. Like they're allowed to take some time. So
Yeah, and I think that that's like where you kind of like you stop yourself too. So I'm the same way
yeah,
where, at first like because we all have like our own like agendas, right? Like so I send a message to you and I'm excited and I want like to get an answer, but like you have your own agenda where like you could be like you've just had like a whole day in the forest. I want to call it a jungle just because it's you, but like the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
day in the jungle, and then you're exhausted. Like you probably like had mud up to your knees, and you're like just you. But the last thing you want to do is like have to like for me like put together a sentence or like to like an actual like thought, where like if I start a conversation, I'm gonna have to like continue on a conversation with you when I I don't have the capacity, like,
Yeah. I honestly I totally agree with that. And that's where it's like that's why when I do get mad, it's like, no, no. There are days when I'm like, I don't want to respond because and it's not that I don't want to respond. I know that it might start a conversation, not saying it's a negative conversation, but I'm like,
yeah.
no, no, like I need some time to like deep like calm down or get ready. it might also be a similar message to like responding to like your mom or like someone's mom or parent, because you're like, or their child, whatever, and it's like, oh, I don't have children, so I can say I don't know what that's like, but
Yeah.
it's like, you know that if you say X, it's going to lead to Y. Like you don't want to have every conversation right now. It's like, no, no, let's have this also when it's a good time potentially for them, because I know that it's going to lead to this conversation. Or
Yeah, like you can't just say, "Oh," you give a quick answer, and but then you're afraid that like you don't want to feel like you're being short, which
yeah.
could be like um a whole other like ball game with them being
Oh,
like, "Oh, like what did you mean by that?" And you're like, "No, I didn't mean anything. I just trying to get out of conversation, not
yeah.
trying to get into a
Why
conversation."
did you say only okay to me? What? Like,
Like,
because I was
yeah,
in the middle of something. Like my child was falling. I responded because I read it. I said okay because I needed to go and help them. And then that
yeah.
causes more of an issue, and you're like I was talking to one of my friends recently, and like it was a there were four kids at the house,
Mhm.
like her two kids, and there were two other kids,
God bless her. God
right?
bless her.
And we were mid
She must be a
sentence,
saint.
and she legitimately, like, we're in the middle of a sentence, and all of a sudden I heard this little kid being like, um well, if this happened, blah blah, and she's like, I have to go, and I was like, and she hung up mid sentence, and then she sent me a message being like, I'm so sorry. I was like, you're sorry because someone right in front of you needed your help? Like, I'm okay with you leaving to go and help a child who needed something, because again, we were just chatting about something. Like, it wasn't what we
Mhm.
were talking about wasn't life or death either. Like, go be present in that moment and help that person. Like, and she felt
So
so
you
bad, and I was like, no,
you
like,
say
you're
that like
okay.
I remember in high school I had a friend Nikki and we'd always talk to each other on the phone, but we had an understanding of like we could just hang up in the middle of our conversation and that would be it. So
Yeah.
she could be like mid sentence and I'm like I'm having enough of this and like hang up. And that's what like our understanding was. And sometimes we would just do it just because like we could.
Yeah. And, again, like, sometimes I've had it where I'm actually talking to people who maybe I don't like, will say, at like events, and I'll just be
Mhm.
like, oh, and just they will wander away. I'm like, hey, like, thanks. I got like something over here is calling me. Like, I need, they're like, nothing's, I'm like, yeah, bye. I need to go. I wish I could just hang up that phone being like, hey, we're gone.
Yeah, that does make it a little bit harder when it's like in
Oh,
person.
100% way
But
harder.
yeah, just until like they learn, you know, your triggers a little bit better and, until they understand you as a person, yeah, then they can, yeah, you take your minutes of like saying hi and then bye. I can get that.
So I don't know if I told you, but I actually did something. So I wrote a, well, I know that you know that I wrote a book on like Canadian wildlife and African wildlife. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I'll say that the African wildlife book didn't go as well as I was hoping. But did I
Well, there's
show
still
you?
time,
Oh yeah,
like,
oh yeah, oh no. There's still time, but it's just not doing as well right now. I need to put it in front of the right audience for it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But so
Oh, pourquoi?
we I so what's cool is we actually did it with like my old school.
Oh
So
yeah,
like
yeah, nice.
I joined forces with like the French club at my old school, and they actually like published, or well, they translated the book for me. And then
That's
I
amazing. They probably love that, being a
Yeah, and
part
so
of
we're gonna
that.
set up a time for me to go in, and like we'll do like an autograph session of each other's books, and like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And I did my best to make it look as close to the original as possible. So like the French book and the English book are almost identical.
I bet Jimmy likes that.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't heard like he's not as excited about this French book as I would have thought. I think it's super cool to have a book in multiple languages. Um,
Yeah. Well, being Canadian, I think like it's good to, like to make sure we celebrate that, like
Yeah,
being
and that's part of
multicultural
why,
and
like, I'm not je parlez-vous un petit peu. I'm sorry for those who don't understand that because I spoke poorly, but it means I speak a little bit. But I understand because where we are, it's an important thing. Like now, my goal is to get my whole Going Deeper series. I want to make that into like French. I'd also love to make it Spanish or any other languages. I need to like meet the right people or clubs to like have that happen. But it's
yeah.
it's a pretty like that's where my mind like when we were talking one of the last times about like goals and dreams, it's like I want to
Mhm.
sell 5 books, right? But actually my
Yeah.
goal is to sell 100 books, more than that, but also make it into multiple languages and all of that. Like that's the end dream or the big picture dream.
Yeah, that'll happen for
But
sure.
yeah, and it's
All
just a
the
matter of time. But like, I do like to celebrate the small goals. So like, I'm hoping for 5, but it's like, no, no, I actually want it to be 100. I want it to be this and that, and like, actually, I'm gonna do something. So with that, like my dream actually of making this book potentially bigger. Now that I actually just thought of this, I actually messaged this like jungle cat world.
okay.
Um, it's like this wildlife place in Orno.
Is that where like what is that big guy that everybody talk like the oh gosh, the Tiger King? Is that
Oh,
where?
no, it's something similar to what he does, yes, but that's I think in the States that the what you're thinking of the person.
Okay, I'm gonna have to like make a t-shirt of you being the Tiger King
Yeah,
if you
but
join
so
forces.
yeah, so I'm joining forces with, or like we're not joining for. I'm gonna go there and like get a behind the scenes tour and like hopefully get some cool pictures because I was talking about my books and like what I do, and they were like, "Oh man, you should definitely come here. Like we'll set something up for you." And like the cool part is it's actually really close to Jen, and Jen's the
Mhm.
girl who does the drawings in my books.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I'm taking her with me as like a thank you for doing like the books, and it's legitimately like 20 minutes from her front door too, so like we'll
Oh,
get to hang out
nice.
for a little bit and we'll get to do this really cool experience, and hopefully it's even cooler than like I'm thinking,
Yeah, you could
because
take a moment and just pose and she could just like draw you too.
oh that would be well yeah that would be so cool, hopefully with like a snow leopard or a black jaguar like feeding.
Yeah.
So
Not feeding on
not
you
feeding
though.
on me,
Like
yes,
no,
that's
no, no.
I don't want
Please.
that to happen at this place or when or when I'm in India.
I'm sure it's a really good place. It's, you know, all but abides all the safety laws and stuff, and that will
Yeah.
not happen to you. India, when you're out in the nature and a little worried about it, a little
Yeah.
worried about for you. So um just make sure that you take all your proper protocols and you
I
use your zoom lens.
yeah,
Zoom lens, Jay. Zoom lens.
I don't need to put my face in the tiger's or the cat's mouth. I can keep it at a
No,
distance. Yes.
don't want to smell that breath.
Yeah.
Cool. No
Oh,
good.
yeah.
My cats, like their breath, like, oh my gosh, it could could kill a cat, but
Yeah. Well, I hope to be honest, I hope I get to see a whole bunch of cats. I don't know if I want to be that close that I smell their breath, but at the same time I do. Like, but I don't. But I do.
yeah, but no, Jay.
But now that you're
Not
saying it,
unless
I
you
really
have one of
do.
those Shark Tank cages that you talk
Oh,
about. Bring one of those and then maybe but
so
I guess like their claws, I guess we'll get in there too.
yeah, but if you
Mm.
made the things smaller, you could put no, because they could turn it sideways. Yeah, you'd have to have glass or something.
See, these are the ideas that we need to bounce off Rob.
Yeah.
He's our our guiding light. He'll say yay or
Rob,
nay.
where are you? Save us, Rob. Save me, Rob.
Funny enough, he is home today.
No.
He can hear this whole conversation.
Oh. Is it snowing
Uh,
where you are?
yeah, it is
Like I
snowing.
know your
I
window's open, but it's just really like it's really right behind you. I can't see if there's
oh, is it
snow.
too bright? Can you even
No,
see me?
no, I can see you. It's just the camera, like the where the window is, I can't see through it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right? Like I can
Let's
see that
see.
there's a tree and stuff, but like, yeah. Okay. Whoa, you guys have
Oh,
quite a bit of snow then too.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
once we're done, I'm actually gonna go out and shovel.
You know what, I have to go out and shovel because Rob isn't feeling that great. So
That's a
so I have to be the caretaker. I gotta shovel and I also have to go to another um appointment after this and stuff too. So it's
did
gonna
you
be a busy
guys
day.
is it a snow day for you?
No, that's what I was worried about.
Okay.
At 7 a.m. starting to wake up the kids, I had to make sure that it wasn't a snow day because you know, obviously with like Christmas and New Year's, like the kids had like 2 weeks off school, which is great to like hang out with them. Not good for getting anything done.
Not
Nothing.
good for getting stuff done at all. Having
No, have
children, like, I, that's why, like, when we joke about it, like, if we're on par, you also have to add kids on top. So whatever is like, it's even hard. Like, just even getting out the door, like, it's like, I'm like, okay, I just have to grab my bag. You're like, yeah, well, I have to grab my bag, and then I got to make sure my kids have two shoes on and the same correct shoes and socks, and got to have their bag, and I got to have this. It's like, oh my gosh.
But that's where like life is getting easier. The
Yes.
kids can put their own shoes on now, which is like, oh, the new dawn of the new day is happening for me. And I, you know, I can just like tell them to like, okay, sometimes I have to help with their socks,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
you know, but at least I can make it a game for them. Like, oh, who's gonna do it first? And like that like just gets their engines
You know
running.
what?
Like
That game, whoever invented who can do it first,
oh yeah.
they like that's the best game for kids. Like it's like who can do it? You can list anything, and they're like, I can do it quicker than this. Well, no, you can't do it in under 10 seconds. Have you heard people counting? It's like one,
Actually, so you
two.
say that, and I like that idea better if you can do it in under 10 seconds, because a lot of the time I say who can do it first, but then that creates competition,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then they're arguing about who won. And then
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just
So
like,
yeah, so yeah, so I normally am like, who can do it in under? And, yeah, like you're still like still there's a competition for how quick it is,
yeah, but there's
but
not a
it's
competition to each other, which I
yeah.
like, because yeah, then they don't have to argue. They can just both celebrate that they did it under 10 seconds.
And like I'm gonna tell you, like your counting sometimes needs to be a little bit off. Like sometimes 1 second
Oh
might
yeah.
be 5 seconds.
1.2, one and a half, 1 3/4.
Oh, look at you
Uh,
giving us some math numbers there. Like just bam. Like I like that.
bam. Oh
Teaching them.
yeah,
And you put them in the
yeah.
correct order of that's awesome.
Well, yeah, that's another one of my ideas. Again, what will our next app be?
Oh,
Ooh.
our next step.
Will it be teaching about measurement? Who
Honestly,
knows?
honestly, I think that measurement, like, it's something that I wish I understood better. Like, like using it, like again, using a tape measure and understanding that like half an inch and then like 3/4 inch and then like 3/16. Like, I wish I not saying I need to know them all, but I
Yeah,
wish I just understood those a little bit better. And like, even
that,
like the fact that there's 10 dimes in a dollar, like sometimes like it's like, whoa, that's a tenth. Like those are things that I think that like if we use in like, well, a quarter, there's 4 quarters in a
mhm.
dollar. Well, there's like that actually we could should use that more and like translating that into math terms and like it would
Yeah.
help, I think, people understand things a
I
little bit.
didn't understand that for like the longest
Oh,
time, for the
right.
longest time. But now, like me, like I went through a whole apprenticeship, right? Being a Boilermaker and having to go through a whole apprenticeship at some point, especially like I don't even know if like we could attribute it to like our learning disabilities or not, but like we have a learning curves,
Yeah, oh my gosh,
obviously,
it's
right?
crazy curve.
But like once I get a concept, bam. And that's where I always become the point person for people because I can explain it to them in certain ways that they'll understand it because it just automatically like it took a while for me to understand it, but once I understand it, I understand it wholeheartedly and I can explain
Oh,
it better. So that's where like my strength comes, where yes, it might take me a little while to like understand, because I think my mind goes into like little crevices where like I ask questions that normally wouldn't be asked, and I'm thinking about, oh, does this have an effect on something?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
once I get the concept and I understand it, then yeah, it's easier for me to explain it to people.
So you
And
don't
that's
like
where,
so you don't understand it just on like a base level. You're trying to understand it on like a whole root level and like the underwell. And then it's like once you get it, you're good
yeah, because
to
my
help.
mind just doesn't take things as they are. Like you tell me to like this, then no, I have more questions. And like my mind, because it's so creative, then it takes it on like a whole tangent, being like, oh, well, like, yeah, like, does this start there or does it start over here? Or, just like, yeah. So I'll ask those weird questions where people like at first will be like, no. Or they'll be like, oh, yes, actually, you say this. And like, yes, that is something to do with it. So I think that that's where, yeah, like my weakness lies, but my strength lies as well.
Yeah,
And
okay.
that's where I think it's great that we're trying to do something positive and helping people with like learning, but self-acceptance too, with
Yeah.
like how to get there. Everybody has their own learning styles and their own learning curves and ways to get there. So I think.
So I remember one time, so I like math, but sometimes I struggle with it. And so
Mhm.
back in my day, I was in grade 13 math, and it was a calculus class, and I struggled at calculus. Like I had, we'll call it a 35, like at the halfway mark of the year, which is not a very good mark. And I went to my teacher and I'm like, I'm struggling. And he's like, I see that. I was going for extra help. And he's like, Jay, like, you're doing good job. Like, just keep working at it. Unfortunately, I was in like the really smart math class. So, like,
Mhm.
there was a one class that had like a couple 90s and a 70 and then some 60s. I was in the class that had all 90s.
Yeah. So it makes you feel even worse because you're
Right. And
around
like,
people like that you're like,
I honestly I felt so stupid some days, and like, but my class was like they teased me a little bit, but like not
mhm.
like super negative, like, but they were also supportive of me, and like my teacher was super supportive, and like it was honestly it was probably like 2 weeks before the end of the school year, and the teacher was like, and he said blah 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 something something, and I was like, wait, so you mean that this is this and that is that? And he was like, yes, and I'm like, so if that is that, then this is this and this is this and whatever. And the class all of a sudden stopped and they're like looking at me. And I was like, why didn't you say that at the beginning? Because all of a sudden
Right.
I now understood the
Everything just
calculus and like
clicked.
everything just clicked. And I was like, my class legitimately started clapping. Like like it was the coolest. Like, and I ended up with like a
Mhm.
61 in that class or whatever. Like I didn't, or yeah, like I didn't super excel, but like
Yeah.
I had just pushed and like I finally like figured it out. I don't understand it now,
Yeah.
but for that exam, I did actually really well because all
Sometimes
of a
when you
sudden
don't
things
use it, you
clicked.
lose it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
not the
But it's nice.
parallelograms, but I remember those. But yeah, with calculus,
Well, like that's the thing, is that like you were in grade 13, where it's nice that like everybody clapped for you, because I think like at that point people are starting to mature, like
yes.
have um and being able to be like happy for people's achievements, where like when maybe in the younger grades they might have been a little bit more like immature about it and making fun of you and
Yeah. And
so
even making fun of me for being like smart and figuring it out. They'd be like they would have
you're
teased you. Like sometimes you get teased for being smart. Sometimes you get teased for being like not the smartest kid. And I was normally teased for not being the smartest kid. And I accepted it because I wasn't always the smartest academic kid.
hmm. Oh yeah, there's lots of different types of
So,
intelligence for sure.
but yeah, like it
But
was, sorry, go.
you telling your story about like when it kind of like clicked for you, that kind of like thought me made me think of like I took a keyboarding class, right, in high school. So
Like
um
piano keyboarding
no, so
or
computer
like
keyboarding.
computer keyboarding.
Yeah, computer
Okay.
keyboarding. So I was in a keyboarding class in high school. I think it was grade 9. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was grade 9. And same thing where like I obviously went into that class wanting to like learn how to type better, but because of the way that like the teacher had the class structured, it from the get-go, it was always a competition. Like as soon
Yes.
as you got into the class, then it was like a competition about who could type the fastest and you get your name on the board. But it didn't even give me a chance to like get good before, before like your strengths or weaknesses are highlighted. So it's great for the people that already know how to type, because right now then their strengths are going to be highlighted, their name's going to be on the board. But like for people that haven't had the chance to like hone in on their skill, like for me, I had no idea how to type. So then I'm here just like, like snail pace trying to learn and
One
not
finger
doing any.
typing, doot, doot, doot.
Yeah, so for me it was just like I didn't even get a chance to learn. I'm just embarrassed by my lack of, even though that it's a class and that's what you're doing, they're there to do is to learn,
Yeah.
like so I believe me, I did not do very good in that class. I did pass, but barely. Um, I took the time after I was done that class to like actually teach myself how to type. Now I'm a great typer.
Nice.
Don't look at the keys at all, and I forget my words per minute, but like yeah, now I'm great at it. But like because of the way that the class was structured, it was not for me and it sucked. But I mean, yeah, just knowing how different people learn, and sometimes putting people in the spotlight at this wrong time can be very intimidating.
So based on you saying about putting people in the spotlight, so being dyslexic, I hated reading out in class.
Yeah.
So like I use and like most kids, like you're like start counting, you're like, okay, Johnny reads this paragraph, I gotta read this, and you're like, I'd be practicing, but I'd be messing up, and then I have to read it out loud. And like, so when I became a teacher, one of the first things I was like, I'm never forcing a kid to read out loud,
Yeah.
right? But there's always kids who want to read out loud,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like, hey, who wants to read this paragraph, or who like, and then it's just the kids who want to read, and like then I'm
Love
like, oh
that.
my God, I wish my teachers didn't force me to read. Like, again, I understand like times were changing and all that, and that's how things were done. But it was like, and again, I do think you have to force people out of their comfort zones at time. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but there were times where I was like, man, like this, or you make sure that the kid who sucks at reading gets the really easy, simple paragraph. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, oh, I only have to read a sentence. Cool, I'll do a sentence. But having to
Yeah.
read 5 sentences with lots of big words, I don't want to do that. But like, so you pick and choose and build their confidence up. But it was like,
Yeah.
I used to dread trying to like read. And a great example is me trying to spell owl in our last in our
Like put you on
last
the spot. Sorry about that.
struggle to I've told a couple people about that story, and I honestly I can't wait for the video actually to like be out and people to like see it. It's like, come on, Jay. And it's like, but it happens. And like honestly, like having to
Yeah.
write on a whiteboard, like that's a skill that I think is so like until you have to write on a whiteboard, you and like some people can do it so well, but like I have to think, I have to then write it, and I have to be talking to somebody, and I have to spell it correctly. Like it was
Oh, I know.
like
Even saying that, so like because I'm come in supervision now.
yeah,
And we're trying to get like the crews ready for the day and stuff. And I'm with the other supervisors, so we're writing on the whiteboard. And do you know how hard it is to like spell people's last names? Like
right,
there are some crazy last names out there.
yeah,
And people just watching
100%.
me, I have to like sound it out. I'm just like, okay, guys, I need help on this one. Like, how do you spell this? Like
It's
like
honestly, it's so tough.
it is sometimes. Yeah. And that's the thing is like now I have the confidence of to ask for help.
It-
Before when you're like younger, you need chance to like build up that confidence. Don't like put people on the spot before you have that confidence, or it's just going to be a train wreck.
yeah, so so another example from being a teacher, having to read attendance lists the first time I was reading like class lists, it was like, oh my God, like that was one of my like the toughest things. It was like I remember, and I'm not going to say their names, but like I was reading this one class list and I was like, no, okay, class. And from that day on, I never said a class list. I always made kids say their name the first time or two in the class, so at least I could hear the proper pronunciation of how they
Oh
wanted
yeah.
their name to be said. And like a name like Diane and Dana, those are really tough names for me because they look almost exactly the same, and it's like
Yeah.
I struggle to spell that name. Like, and then if I say it wrong, like now I'm embarrassing that kid, and like it's yeah, it's embarrassing when you say like some people it's really embarrassing when you
Hmm.
say a name wrong.
Okay. You know what, I didn't think about that perspective, that I understand that. So um I have the opposite experience, because now like I have to give a lot of pre-jobs, a lot of like rep reviews to like work groups. So like sometimes like 60 people at a time I'll be in front of a group, and I'll have to like say I'll have to give out EPDs to people,
Okay.
and I'll always have to say their names. And again, like I think I just bring more of a humor to it. Like I'm gonna butcher this, because
Oh,
some of
yeah.
these ones I'm
Yes.
just like pernalingress, and then they'll get an idea of who I'm trying to say. I'm like, so I'm like, I butchered that, didn't I? And they're like, yeah. So like I'm like, how do you say it? I'm not gonna remember. I'm gonna
Yeah.
butcher it again tomorrow. But how do you say
And
it?
so if it was an adult situation, I
Yeah.
would potentially try to say their name.
Hmm.
But if I, for kids who, like, especially like I'm dealing with
Yeah.
like grade 9 kids and like, again, like if I say their name, like that could potentially wreck their high school or like, again,
Oh,
as
I
an
know.
adult, it's like, it's as an adult, it's not saying it's not tough as for an adult, but it's a little bit easier for an adult. And it's like, hey, you know what? Like I've had my name said wrong and it's Jason. Like, but
I
it doesn't.
accidentally gave a guy on our crew a nickname, and I didn't even mean to, by saying their name wrong. But I didn't even say their name wrong. I think people just like heard it wrong. So his name is Stapleton, but people thought I called him Simpleton. So now his name is Simpleton.
Yep.
And I swear I said Stapleton. People thought I said Stimpleton, which is like a great nickname
Yeah.
for this
But
guy.
and that's the
He
thing,
owns
like,
it, which is great.
and like as an adult, that's easier to make to take on as a like someone like again, like you whether you did it or not, it's how people heard it, and it's like, well, now that like impacts them, like,
Yeah, and harder to deal with when you're a grade 9 student trying to like find your footing. I could totally
and
get it.
and unfortunately, kids can be really mean, especially not always to your face,
Yeah.
but on social media, and like I can only
Yeah,
imagine how tough that would be. Like again, when your teacher accidentally miss says your name, and like now all of a sudden it's in everyone's face, and like that could especially nowadays, like some kid
yeah.
could have happened to record it, and now that be or taken a picture of the teacher. Now it's a meme or a TikTok, and like
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that like the kids have to deal with now that we never had to deal with when we were kids, because we didn't like, Mary gets blown away to like know that like when I was young, we didn't have the internet. When I
well
was
that you dated yourself when you said that you had to take a grade 9 typing class, just so
well,
you know.
okay, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you
right,
know
like
this,
you.
like as this video
I did it
airs,
too.
I will be celebrating my 40th birthday.
What? Happy
Yes.
birthday.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're gonna go on a nice little trip there and have a great time. But we're
That's in
gonna,
April, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that you have this scheduled for like around that time.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be in. I think it'll actually come out in like March, just before your birthday. So happy
Okay.
early birthday when this comes out,
Thank you.
and you look amazing for 39.
Yeah, we'll say 29.
Yeah, I said 19. What are you talking about?
19. There we go.
Yeah. 19 with some
But
experience. It's okay.
we're gonna be cut off soon because I just
Yes, we
saw
are.
like we're less than a minute. But so I'm gonna like say my adieus and talk to you next time. But
For
good
sure.
talking to you this time.
It was a I
Toodaloo.
love talking to you, and I look forward to
Me
it.
too.
And have a great trip if I don't talk to you before then.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds